Hello everybody and welcome to ChessDiagnostic. This is Andrew and today we're going to look at a game played between Paul Morphy and Jules Arnous de Riviere in 1863. I looked for this game for a while and I finally found it, and the reason I want to show this game is because when I started playing chess, I saw this game in a Paul Morphy book and it really made an impact on me on why you shouldn't develop your queen early. It's a perfect illustration, and Paul Morphy really makes his opponent's queen dance. Now, his opponent was a leading French player, but Paul Morphy makes it look like he's almost a beginner. So let's see what happens here. Paul Morphy's white, and he plays e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, and after bishop to c5, we get the leading fashion of the day in the Evans Gambit with b4, sacking a pawn, and then using the c3 lever, castles, and then d4. Basically, he sacked a pawn, but he gets a strong center, quick development, and a possible center and kingside attack. So after d4, pawn takes, the bishop moves back, developing the knight, and then we see the early queen development. So obviously just developing the knight and castling would have been infinitely better. He doesn't play that. He plays queen to f6. And here's where Morphy really starts to just terrorize his opponent. Knight to d5, a quite obvious move. Knight to f4. Moves the pawn. You could see here that there's really no thought, and it almost seems ridiculous nowadays that an opponent would play like this, especially a leading player, even back then. But Paul Morphy really developed these ideas of piece activity. His strength was really being a master of piece activity, and by that I mean he used every single piece and knew the underlying strategy of chess was activity. And because of that, and because his opponents didn't understand it, he was able to play simple logical moves, especially nowadays they appear simple and logical to us, but back then it was really just all about attacking and being a man, I guess. But it seems like here, Paul Morphy just crushes his opponent. So pawn takes, pawn takes. Now obviously he can't take this pawn because his queen would get pinned. So his king's stuck in the center. So the queen moves to f5. And now we see e6. If the pawn takes, then we get, again, the same type of pin with the queen against the king. And then he plays f6. A pretty terrible move, but there's really no option at this point. White's winning, and Black's queen is just a huge target for his development. Now, the point I want to make is that Paul Morphy uses his opponent's early queen development to use tempos against the queen to get piece activity. And he does that at the expense of some pieces. He's willing to sacrifice material, sacrifice pieces to do that. And he knows that, for example, the rooks and these two minor pieces are essentially worthless. So again, knight to h4, attacking the queen, bishop to e3. Now, if the queen takes here, then we see the line queen to h5, g6, knight takes, and he's just going to lose a ton of material with a weakened king position. Now, obviously, he doesn't want to move his king over. If he moved here, he'd get checkmated. And if he moves here, then the rook's going to be checking anyway. And it's pretty much over at this point. His opponent plays on for a few more moves. Bishop takes. This is just an example line. And then if he tried to castle queenside, we get rook to c1, winning this bishop. Alright, so let's go back. So after bishop to e3, Black doesn't take. He again plays queen to g5, and it looks like the Black queen's running out of squares. Attacking with knight to f3. Takes. Attacking the queen again. Preparing to attack the queen. attacking the queen. Queen's attacked. And now white is completely active. His rooks are totally connected. The center's just about to be ripped open. He has a passed pawn on the 6th rank. And after rook to d1, his opponent resigned because there's pretty much no hope. Now, an example line would be, for example, if he plays queen to d6, we get knight to f4, just pinning. Let's say that he tried to bring his knight out, then we get knight takes, king takes, and checkmate. So there really was no other option other than to resign. Let's say he moved here, then he would simply play knight to c3. Let's say the king comes in, he wins the queen. So it's over at that point. Alright, so this game really did make an impression on me when I was learning chess, and I hope it helps you figure out if you're developing your queen early, hopefully you're not, on why you should not develop your queen, and how to exploit it. There's a lot of methods to exploit the early developed queen, but the main one is just to attack it, and at the same time you're attacking your opponent's queen, you're developing your pieces. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the future. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for future videos. See you in the future.